Hi, Torey Eisenman with Benchmark Real Estate Group, and we're here with Jennifer Englert from the Orlando law firm. And Jennifer, I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about real estate transactions. And unfortunately, divorce happens. There's things that happen in life, and we have secondary families now where people are intermixing their families. And it's a very difficult time for people. And I know you handle family law in your law firm. And if somebody's facing this situation, so I have a lot of people that come to me and think, I think I'm going to get divorced, but don't talk to my spouse, but I need somebody to talk to. Who do I go to? How do I handle this? Can you guide somebody through that process and how that works, and things they need to think about if they're facing this situation?
Okay. Yeah, many of our divorce clients don't really know what will happen with the house, or especially if there's investment property and their main marital homestead residence. So if we could clear up a few misconceptions, it would probably go a long way for them. As far as the marital home, ideally somebody decides to stay in it and it's very simple and joyful.
Joyful?
Normally that does not occur. We do have some people that can really just do it and focus on kids and focus on things, and it does exist, like the unicorn. But otherwise, if you can't decide who needs to stay in the house, the court will order the house to be sold. So waiting to get to court for that to happen, it's a long, painful process. And normally if the couple at least comes together and starts it on their own, it's a whole lot better for everybody. So when a couple is divorcing, they do need to choose a realtor. They need to choose one realtor, and they both have to sign the listing agreement. So yeah, we have it a lot of times where one signs, they can't agree, one signs and they don't tell the realtor. So all that is very sticky situations for you guys because you've got to navigate through it. But both parties can communicate with the realtor separately, and they don't necessarily have to be together on that, but they both need to sign the contract. Now, if they can't agree on sale price and listings and all that, that happens all the time. So we figure out a way to do that normally that we can, and that stops people too sometimes from even listing the house. Like, we can't agree on the price, so we're just going to stalemate. No, we can mediate that and figure out, say, okay, well, we'll go with the realtor's idea for what they want to list it to, because you guys are the experts. Sure. And you actually want the house to sell. Sometimes one of the other parties doesn't want that to happen because they want to keep living there. But and then say, okay, well, if we can't in 30 days, if we don't get any bites, then let's drop it $5,000 or $2,500. So that helps the real estate agent too, because those are difficult situations to be in when the clients can't agree. Now, in the meantime, sometimes one of the parties wants to keep the house, but the other party wants to buy a house, and the divorce just isn't done for whatever reason. That can be done also. So if you've got a good mortgage person that we can work with, again, we help people kind of get to whatever their end result is. If they want to have a new house, we've got to figure out a way for that to happen. So we can move finances around to make sure that people could get financing. We could do draft deeds so that people deed the house over before the divorce or right after. So, I just think there's a lot of solutions, but people are afraid to even ask what they are. But rather than stay in an unhappy marriage or wait for the house price to decline or fight or not take care of the house, there's so many things that can be done. So going to a lawyer early, and then getting a real estate agent who's well versed with couples who are divorcing, who kind of know what the law is and are willing to kind of work with two people that might be upset with each other, it's really important.
Well, they need to remain objective, right? There's a lot of emotions that take place when you're selling a home in a divorce. And we had a client recently that they had been divorced 3 years, and their divorce decree required the home to be sold within 5. Mm-hmm. So there's all kinds of weird situations that can take place, and we've had other homes where the wife just refused to sign the paperwork. So at the end of the day, I think it's important that you're working with an attorney that understands the emotion involved and can help mitigate that, because if you can't, right, what happens? You've got this arguing going back and forth, and at the end of the day, the end game is to get rid of the assets and for everybody to move along into their own life. So how do you guys work with, if it's a husband and wife and one's coming to you, how do you kind of help mitigate that situation to diffuse some of those emotions and help through this process? Because, in our experience, there's a lot of emotions involved. Right. And our job, we have to help mitigate that. We can't get involved in the emotion. We have to keep the emotion at bay. So how does your law firm do that to help those clients so that they can make this transition as smooth as possible?
Well, you came a good point, because a lot of times the sale happens after the divorce, and there's something in the divorce papers that talk about how that's supposed to go. People who come to us after, we always make sure that we actually look at the documents, because a lot of people don't, or it's something that sat on a shelf for 3 years, or they haven't followed it. One was supposed to move out, one was supposed to help with bills, and none of that, like all kinds of things happen. So number one is, let's look at what you agreed to and kind of try to work our way through it, because in that situation maybe you don't need 2 lawyers, because the divorce is over and nobody wants to pay more lawyers, and when they could use that money for the sale of the house and whatever they're going to do next. If they are in the middle of the divorce, though, number one is to try to find a real estate agent that we know is very good in that situation, because it is difficult for you guys to have to deal with that also. Right. And then try to come up with solutions rather than just let them to themselves. If it is that we have to go to a mediator and just mediate that part, using the real estate agent as the expert, and kind of, like you said, that the real estate agent is objective. They want to sell the house. They don't really have any, they have to deal with the emotion of it, but they are the experts. So say, okay, well, let's see what the real estate agent wants to list it at. And if they were just doing this for an investor that didn't care about this house except to sell it, how would you list it? What would, how would you drop the price if it's not selling? Kind of more look at it like, use the real estate agent's expertise and kind of take some of the other stuff out of it.
So if there's somebody that's watching this video right now that is in a situation where they're anticipating, I have friends that have been married for many, many years that have come to me and said, you know what, we own a business. I'm preparing now, right? 3 years before I know my kids are going to turn 18, because I know I'm going to stay.
It happens.
So how does somebody reach you? How do they get some additional information if they are facing those situations? You know, maybe they never end up getting divorced, but they need some good, solid legal advice so that they can make those business decisions to protect their family.
No, and that's a really good point, because we do have people that come and that never have a consult and then we never see again, and that's fantastic. That's like the preference. But just getting advice from your friend who went through a divorce, getting stuff off the internet, again, that's kind of a one size fits all, or your friend's situation is not going to be like your situation. It's going to have some differences no matter what it is, and the law changes too. I mean, what happened 10 years ago is not what we do now. So having a consult to just get a little bit of information, I think helps everybody, because at least it gives you peace of mind and you kind of know and you don't have to wonder.
Right, so they're going to be able to get good, solid legal advice, make a solid business decision. And when we ask our friends, it's not necessarily the best thing, because they're a little emotionally attached to us and not necessarily as objective as we would like.
Exactly.
So for somebody to reach your company, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Our number is 407-512-4394, and that gets you to our main office, which will route you to whatever office you need. And then our website, which you could also request information from or send an email, is theorlandolawgroup.com.
Thanks, Jennifer. I appreciate your time.